Today I'm going to show you how to make this macrame Easter egg basket wall hanging. Stay tuned. And don't forget to take a screenshot of today's project details. Now let's get started. Attach all 12 cords onto your ribbon using a reverse lark's head knot. If you don't have ribbon kicking around, you can always use another strand of rope, but I kind of like the look of the ribbon. Once all 12 cords are on there, we're going to do a full row of just regular square knots. And as per usual, if I'm going too fast for you, you can always adjust the speed of the video by tapping the 3 dots on the top right corner. Or if you need further knot instructions, feel free to check out my knot tutorial playlist. I'll link it in the cards above. Okay, I'm going to speed up the rest of these square knots and we're going to just go straight across to the other side. Next, we're going to increase our row. So to do this, grab a separate cord and find the center. Take the center loop and place it behind your first 2 strands of cords. And then we're going to make a square knot, just pretending like those cords were attached all along. It may be tricky tying your square knot with an extra cord like this for like the first couple times, but as we go further along with this pattern, you're going to be a pro at it, trust me. Okay, so once you have your square knot on there, slide it up to the top, and then we're going to continue on with our alternating square knots. We're going to go straight across this entire row and then skip the last 2 cords. With the last 2 cords, we're going to add an additional cord just like we did at the beginning of this row. Okay, so just like we did at the beginning of this row, we're going to grab a separate cord, find its center, wrap it around the last 2 cords, and we're going to tie a square knot. Okay, so just like our previous row, we're going to attach an additional cord right at the front of our row. Then we're going to tie alternating square knots all the way straight across and end it with 1 more additional knot. We are going to be doing this for a total of 6 rows. Next, we're going to do 14 rows of just regular alternating square knots. We don't have to add anything, it's just straight up alternating square knots. What I like about this pattern is that it's quite simple. All it really is just square knots, which makes it super beginner friendly and it kind of looks impressive. And I think it's really the perfect alternative Easter basket. It's great if you have pets and you need the Easter basket to be up and out of the way, and it's reusable. Okay, so carrying on, we need to do 4 rows of alternating square knots, but this time we're going to slowly decrease it into a V shape. And that completes the back side of our egg. Now we need to work on the front. So grabbing your cord, fold it in half to find the center. Once you've found the center loop, we're going to tack it down right onto our board. Next, do the same thing with your second strand. And from here, we're going to tie just a regular square knot. Just make sure that it's snug at the top, that way it holds its shape. Next, we're going to attach 2 extra cords from the front of our row to the back of our row, just like we did before on our back side of the egg. So just as we did before, you make a loop, you put it behind the first 2 set of cords, and you tie your square knot. I told you were going to be a pro at this once we were done. It's a lot of adding extra cord. Okay, so do the same thing for your last set of 2 cords and for the next row too. And then we're going to repeat it 3 more times. To join them all together, we're going to be doing 6 rows of just regular alternating square knots. Alrighty, so I'm just going to double check that we have the correct amount. So that's our first 3 that we did to start off with. And then our joining cords are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 rows. Next, we're going to do 4 rows of alternating square knots, and we're going to decrease the first and last knots to form a slight V-shaped pattern. It's important that you get this exact so that it matches the back of our egg. It's always good to count your rows and then to double check that it fits the backing. So I'm going to go ahead and check if it fits and lines up properly. You just want to make sure everything lines up exactly, because you can always add more rows or adjust it, but once you attach it together, that is it. Okay, so grab your back side and you want to make sure that the right side is facing up. In sewing terminology, the right side is usually the printed side or the nice side of the fabric. It's the side that you want visible. And with the smaller pocket side, you want the right side to face down. And what I find easiest is if you separate the angled side and then just focus on the flat bottom side first. We're going to tie those together first and then the side angle pieces. So to join them together, I'm just going to grab 2 opposite sides and I'm just going to tie just a regular double overhand knot. It's the same knot you'd use for tying your shoelaces, only it's a double knot. Once it's tied, you want to snip it so that you have about 1.5 inches left in length. Now that's important. Make sure you leave a good 1.5 inches seam allowance. That way it won't fold back onto itself and kind of poke out through the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to tie the rest of these straight down the middle, right on the very bottom side of our egg. Once the bottom underside is complete, we can fold it back over. And now you can really see the shape starting to form and it gets kind of exciting. So we're going to do pretty much the same thing we did to the bottom side. We're going to tie just a regular double overhand knot, but instead of snipping it right away, we're going to take our ends and we're going to tuck it right into the inside of our pocket. And we're just going to carry on doing the same thing. We're going to do our double overhand knot, and then we're going to tuck the ends inside the pocket, and we're just going to go straight across that line. Once you have both sides complete, we're going to spin it around and trim off the excess cord. And please be super careful when you do this. And also don't forget to leave a good 1.5 inches seam allowance. Once you finish trimming, make sure the ends are tucked inside of your pocket. And then we are going to stitch up the sides. So this is a really small gap, so it doesn't really matter how you sew it together as long as it looks nice on the sides. So what I did was kind of weave it in and out, kind of like how you do it for shoelaces. Only I tied overhand knots as I went along, just for a little bit of added security. And if you find that your pocket is just a little bit floppy, you can always tack it down with one big stitch on the side, which is exactly what I had to do in the long run, just so that the bunny and all the things would fit inside of it. You could also customize this pattern and make your pocket much more deeper, which means a lot more candy and loot you could fit inside of it. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and that would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you like this pattern, I think you'll be interested in my vertical double half hitch bunny pattern as well. If you are, click on the video on the screen now and I'll see you over there.